the Atlantic, a breeding ground for storms. In 2024, it birthed a monster, Hurricane Milton, a force of nature forever etched in history. It defied expectations, carving a path of destruction across the heart of Florida. The human spirit, however, remained unbroken. From the wreckage, stories of courage and resilience emerged.
It began innocuously, a disturbance, a whisper of instability off the coast of Africa. But the Atlantic, warm and inviting, nurtured this fledgling system. It gained strength, it grew, and as it danced westward, fueled by the ocean's heat, it transformed. Meteorologists watched, their forecasts growing more dire with each passing hour. This wasn't a typical hurricane season anomaly. Milton was evolving rapidly, its internal pressure plummeting, winds spiraling upwards with terrifying speed.
The science was clear. Warmer ocean temperatures, fueled by a planet struggling to breathe, were supercharging these storms. Milton was a textbook example, a harbinger of a future where such events might become the norm, not the exception.
By the time it made landfall, Hurricane Milton was a behemoth. Its wind speeds exceeding 115 miles per hour ripped through coastal towns. The air, thick with salt spray and debris, howled like a banshee. The storm surge, however, was the real monster. Driven by the hurricane's immense size and the low pressure at its core, the sea rose up. It was an unstoppable force, swallowing entire neighborhoods, turning streets into rivers. The statistics were staggering. Millions of homes and businesses were without power. The economic impact, measured in billions, was a testament to the sheer destructive capacity of such a storm.
Days before landfall, the warnings blared. Evacuation orders were issued. What followed was one of the largest mass exoduses in Florida's history. Millions heeded the call, clogging highways, seeking refuge inland. The images were both heartbreaking and hopeful. Families clutching meager belongings, fleeing their homes with uncertainty etched on their faces. Yet, amidst the fear, there was a sense of community. Strangers helped strangers. Acts of kindness, small but significant, bloomed along the crowded evacuation routes.
Not everyone could leave. Some, bound by circumstance or choice, stayed behind. Their stories, tales of riding out the storm in attics, of huddling in shelters as the world raged outside, would become the stuff of legend.
While the coast bore the brunt of Milton's fury, the storm's impact extended far inland. Torrential rains, sometimes exceeding 20 inches, overwhelmed rivers and drainage systems. Floodwaters, carrying with them the debris field of shattered lives, surged into towns and cities ill-prepared for such an onslaught. The human cost of this inland flooding was devastating. Farmers watched helplessly as their crops were submerged. Families seeking refuge from coastal evacuation zones found themselves trapped by rising waters in their temporary havens. The economic impact, too, was significant. Transportation networks were crippled, businesses were forced to close. The recovery for many inland communities would be a long and arduous process.
In the aftermath of Hurricane Milton, scientists and climate experts across the globe were united in their assessment. This was not an isolated incident. It was a symptom of a planet in distress. Global warming, driven by human activities, was unequivocally the culprit. Warmer ocean temperatures were providing the fuel for these increasingly powerful storms. Rising sea levels were exacerbating storm surges, making coastal communities even more vulnerable. The message was clear. Hurricane Milton was a wake-up call. A stark reminder that the consequences of inaction on climate change were no longer abstract or distant. They were here, unfolding in real time, leaving a trail of devastation in their wake.
Months after Hurricane Milton, the scars on the Florida landscape remained. Twisted metal, debris-strewn beaches, silent, empty spaces where homes once stood. Amidst the wreckage, there was hope. Communities came together, neighbors helped neighbors. The slow process of rebuilding had begun.
Hurricane Milton taught valuable lessons. Lessons about preparedness and resilient infrastructure, the interconnectedness of our world, a reminder of our delicate balance with nature.
The future seemed uncertain, but human ingenuity and compassion would be more important than ever.